You decided to start writing, and then you get to the first page staring at the blank paper. And you know for a fact that the first page is either going to make or break your story. And in this video, we will dive deep into why you need to get the first page right. So please subscribe to the channel for more writing content. So you have a good idea of what you want your story to be about. But putting it on paper might not be easy, especially on the first page. And introducing how the story is going to play out is so important. And if you want readers to be hooked and keep reading to the end, you have to get the beginning right. And with the first page, you don't want to spend too much time just trying to build every single thing. Then the reader's going to get bored and just want to close the book and not give it a second glance. So what you need to do is find a balance by giving enough context what the reader can understand right there, then and there, but also leaving some intrigue in there, keeping the reader curious and wanting to read more of the story. You want your first page to be on point. Don't leave the reader hanging, and don't leave the reader waiting for so long until you finally answer their questions. One of the biggest mistakes on the very first page is the exposition or info dump. So I'm going to use fantasy for example. In fantasy, world building plays a big role in that genre. And the writer tends to spend a lot of time with the world right there and then, without introducing the character, why the character is important in that world, and allowing the reader to see the world through the character's eyes. Instead, we're being fed all these little bits and pieces that we could have got later on as we went through the story. But no, the writer couldn't help themselves and wanted us to know that from the beginning so we can get that right there and expect us to understand it and remember it all through the end. But sometimes, as readers, we can forget some of the information that the writer wanted us to catch on. So leave the info dump and exposition out of the first page if you want your readers to keep going and explore more of the story, world building, etc. You also want to avoid introducing too much to the readers. On the first page, that is your first impressions. Like I said earlier, is your make or break moment. So make it count. That means you should not be introducing way too many characters. You shouldn't be introducing too many concepts that you are trying to get through in your book. Just don't put too much. Because on the first page, on the point, but on a snap, or else the reader is going to put your book down. And as the writer, you want to avoid that as much as possible. More is not always better, but less could be more. What you really want to include in the first page of your book is the internal conflict that your main character is going through. Because your main character is also human. We want to know what is going on inside of them and how they feel inside. It doesn't have to be all out at one page, but giving us good glimpses of what might conflict them will keep your readers engaged and want to learn more about the character and to root for them till the end of the story. But why does the first page seem like the most challenging page to write down? Other than looking at a blank paper. As the writer, you might feel like there's a lot of pressure because you know what's going to be on that first page is going to determine if someone is going to keep reading the story and getting a better understanding of it, or if they're just going to slam it on to the floor and never pick it up again. Maybe you want the words to come out and flow just right the first try. But that's not going to happen on the first try because we're human, we're not perfect, and it's going to be messy. With you writing that story for the first time, it's a rough draft. It's meant to be messy, and don't worry. You're always going to come back to it. And with that first page is your starting point of reaching the end goal of finishing the book. And speaking of the starting point of your very first page of the book is the groundwork that you're building up towards. And this can be the the groundwork of a standalone book or the groundwork of an ongoing series. The first page is the introduction that you are bringing forth to your reader to get to know your story of that fictional world. And you want to display it as if this was your best masterpiece. Your first page creates that simple picture at first. And from there, the pages just spreads and it creates more pictures, all comes together full circle. And that all starts with the first page. Writing the first page could even be a checkpoint, a major checkpoint. But first of all, you have to be willing to sit down and write that story. Look in that blank page and write what is going to be on that first page, and the story will go from there. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.